Welcome to another episode of Roughing It. I was out on my bike, had a little mishap. Looks like I ran out of gas. So I'm going to be out here for a while probably. So I'm going to take this opportunity and we're going to try to build us a shelter. As you can see, it's been snowing and we're planning on getting 2 or 3 more inches of snow probably. So I'm going to need something to, as an emergency, just to keep me warm and hopefully dry. So I'm going to hike down the trail a little bit here and see what we can find and make a nice little shelter. So there's a couple different ways that you can make a shelter, winter shelter. You can actually make an igloo. Problem is the ice, the snow that we got right now is really fluffy and it doesn't pack very well. So I'm gonna do a fallen tree shelter, or make a fallen tree shelter. And I think that's the best route for me to go at this point. So you got to be kind of picky on what type of tree you're going to use. There's lots of fallen trees around here. There's oak trees, maple trees all over. But I'm looking for fern trees, evergreen trees. Cedar trees work really well. The reason being is they're going to have their needles on them, and that's going to give you more coverage, and it's also going to give you somewhat of an insulating factor. So I'm going to keep looking here. I think I might have found one right up ahead. So here's a small cedar tree that I found. I think this is about the best candidate. It's pretty full somewhat on the one side, which is good. It's in a pretty good area. I got a clearing over there. I can start my fire once I get my shelter made. So I'm gonna get this thing built and show you how it's done. So I'm gonna use my trusty candle list. I'm gonna cut this tree. I'm going to chop it not all the way down. You want to leave yourself a little bit of room up because that's going to give you your height, because that's going to be the entrance to your shelter. So I'm going to chop this up about here. You don't want to chop all the way through. You want it to kind of just enough to where you can lean it back to the one side. So as you can see, this back side here has less coverage. So I'm going to cut it here on the front and let it lean back that way. That's going to leave all this stuff here for shelter. Try to leave as much of the snow on there as I can too, because that's going to give me a little bit of insulating factor and some coverage from whatever other snow may fall. It's going to fall right on top of it. So let me get this chopped down and I'll show you guys the finished product. One thing I may have forgot to mention, on the side that you want, on the bottom side that you're going to be sleeping in, you want to try to shave off some of the limbs, actually all of them. You got to have room to get in there. Plus, I'm going to show you guys what to do with these branches once I get this thing felled and get the shelter put up. So in any survival situation, your first plan is most likely not going to be the plan that works out. So I ended up actually cutting through this whole tree, and I ended up moving it a few yards over to down branch, a large branch. This is going to work better, I think, because it's kind of down in a gully. So what I did was I took and cleared all the snow out, got down to the leaves underneath it. So now what I'm going to do is take the branches that I cut off of this before, I'm going to lay those down there as a bedding. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to try to find another cedar tree that I can hack some limbs off of to maybe make more bedding, and also maybe try to cover myself more on the rooftop part. Okay, so here it is. The nice thing about this is you can put as much cedar as you can find. I actually ended up finding another down branch of dead cedar that I threw on the top. Just the more coverage, the better. I would say probably the best thing you can do is, hopefully you have a couple emergency blankets in your bug out bag. You can take and toss that over the top. You want to try to keep the area as small as possible that you're going to sleep in. That's going to keep the warmth in, hold everything in. You know, this isn't a Hilton. You're not going to be in there jumping around and bouncing around, so you don't need a whole lot of room. Just enough to crawl in there. You don't even really want to stretch out. You want to try to keep, if you can keep your body as close as possible to itself, you know, kind of bunched up. That's going to be the best way. So I'm going to climb in this thing and show you guys. This is actually really warm. Pretty good wind blockage too, to be honest with you. Only downside to this is I wouldn't build your fire too close. This is cedar, and you don't want to be like Mikey Caldwell says and die in a fire. The whole point of this is to survive. So I think this will do me pretty good. I do have a couple emergency blankets with me. If I feel the need to, I could wrap myself up with it, or like I said, I could throw one over the top if it gets too bad. But I think that this is enough to where it's going to catch the snow. The snow is going to build up on top of it, and it's going to keep me nice and dry and warm. So this has been Roughing It, and we'll see you next time.